Our final guest might be a little familiar to some of you. Mr. Tommy Thompson served as our governor in 1987 to 2001. His bold efforts to reform education and welfare led him to be re-elected as our governor an amazing 4 times. He served in President Bush's cabinet, and he has served on the board of various companies, and tonight he is here as a candidate for the United States Senate. And I would also add, I always love to listen to him speak. Governor Tommy Thompson.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't it great to be a Republican? Congressman Ray did a great job. Governor, I was so proud of him. Bill, thank you. I'll be up here to campaign for you. The legislator, you got to win. Those 8 wonderful individuals are going to take over the county board that have the guts to stand up and say, we are changing government once and for all. Thank you. You know something, I come from Elroy, suburb of La Crosse. Vice versa, I get confused. I had the privilege, when I was growing up, to work for Matthew Construction Company for 6 years. And I lived in La Crosse. I left the government in 2005. One of my best friends, Don Weber, offered me a job in a company here in La Crosse called LHI. That company was fantastic. It's still growing, thanks to my friend Don and Lexi. Thank you for giving me that chance. I lived amongst you. You know something? I love La Crosse. Mike Hepsch, thank you. Dan Kapanki was up here campaigning for you more than anybody else from the. Because I love you. Had the courage to bring a baseball team to the city. You know something? When I started in politics, I had the privilege of representing a rural area. Grew up very poor like a lot of you. Worked my way through college. And I ran for the state assembly. And then I decided I could never get enough votes to get Speaker of the Assembly, so I ran for governor. True story. My wife said, Tommy, go win. I won. If you remember correctly, like our country's in so much trouble, remember back then when I came over as governor? Darwin Smith got up and said, the state of Wisconsin is so bad, I'm going to have to move Kimberly Clark out of the state of Wisconsin and move it to Texas. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Then he had the audacity to say, Tony Earl is ruining the state. People in the state of Wisconsin were nervous. People from Illinois made fun of us. They came up here and dated our girls. Went back home, drank our beer. Then they put up signs and said, when the last company, the company in Texas get too high, bring your company to Illinois. Then they said, when your last company leaves Wisconsin, please turn off the lights. Remember that?
Yes.
The people in the state of Wisconsin said, we are going to try Tommy Thompson. And what did? We went in, ladies and gentlemen, we cut taxes 91 times. 91 times, never before done by any state in America. We then put a ceiling on teacher salary back then. Unheard of. And I had people demonstrating against me, including my wife. And then we gave the largest property tax in the history of this state, not once but twice. And I vetoed things 1,900 times. And then I had the audacity, ladies and gentlemen, to try something nobody's ever tried. That was change welfare. Give people a chance to work. A radical idea about giving people a chance to work. We took off an entitlement. Never before done in the history of the state. We had 3 entitlements: Social Security, Medicare, and welfare, and I killed welfare. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, we need to run. And then I left, took over one of the largest departments of federal government, George W. Bush. And Jim Doyle came in. We had a mental lapse. We had amnesia. We went back and elected a Democrat. Remember that? And all that I had done, he reversed. And then, out of the blue, out of the West, came Scott Walker. And Scott Walker came riding in out of the courthouse and said, I am going to follow Tommy Thompson, and I'm going to create 250,000 jobs. I sent him a memo. I said, Scott, that's great, but I created 740. It's a good start. Remember that, Blake? And then he had the audacity, ladies and gentlemen, to say, I want the public employees to pay 5% for their retirement. What is the crime? Is there a crime? No. Then he had the audacity to say, I want 12.5% for the public employees to pay health care. Is that a crime? No. Well, then why are we having a recall? Recalls are for people that commit crimes or malfeasance in office. Scott Walker had the audacity to do what he said. There is no crime in doing your constitutional duties. I went down, I was asked by Scott Walker and his team to go down and campaign. And you know something? I was down there where 8,000 people were out there cheering. And I had a sport coat on and a big red W sweater. I took off my sport coat and got excited, threw it on the ground, and I turned around and said, see that W back there? I said, what does it stand for? Everybody yelled, Wisconsin. I said, no, it means Walker wins Wisconsin. Walker wins Wisconsin. And you know what was so great? You know what was so great? When Walker won the first time. What's even going to be greater is when he wins the second time. We are not going backwards. We are going forward. But people say, Tommy, you've done so much. Turn the state of Wisconsin around. Why do you want to get back into it? I'll tell you why. I was in my office. And they were debating about whether or not they're going to raise the debt ceiling. Remember that? From $10 trillion, for $14 trillion to $15 trillion, and the Republicans caved in and gave it to them. And gave the power to the president to raise it to $16 trillion. Now the gross national product is $15 trillion. That means our debt is higher than our gross national product. That puts us in companionship with Greece. Does that make you feel good? No. And 42 cents out of every dollar is borrowed. Could any of you run a household? Could any of you run a company? Could any of you run a school district by borrowing 42 cents out of every dollar? Absolutely not. And I decided I had to do something about it. And I want to change and fix the United States like I fixed the state of Wisconsin. And I looked at my children, my 3 children, and my 8 grandchildren, just like your children and grandchildren. And I thought to myself, we promised those children and grandchildren a country with more security, more opportunities, more freedom than what we had, and we can no longer say that. And it's time, ladies and gentlemen, we as Republicans have a moral responsibility because the Democrats don't have it. We have it, and we have got to show the direction. That is why I'm running, ladies and gentlemen, and I need your help. What am I going to do? When I first came in as governor, I asked every state agency to lower their budget by 5%. And I balanced the budget 14 years running as governor of the state of Wisconsin. And we created 742,000 jobs. I believe Paul Ryan is one of the few heroes out in Washington. And we, ladies and gentlemen, I was talking to Paul, and he said, we have a moral responsibility, and I believe that. I don't have anything to plead. I don't have anything to show. I've done as much in my life as anybody possibly could. But I am not going to leave this country the way it is without fighting my darndest to make sure that we turn it around. And we're going to balance the budget. We're going to pass a balanced budget amendment. We are going to, ladies and gentlemen, get rid of Obamacare, which is going to destroy our health care. And who better than I, that ran the Department of Health, to change it and make it one in which you have control over your health records, and we have competition, and we are able to make a health care system that's affordable and accessible for every American. Energy efficiency. You know something? We can be energy independent. Every time, ladies and gentlemen, a penny goes up on that gasoline cost, and how do you like those $4.25 a gallon? Every time a penny goes up, it's $1 billion out of our economy that goes to Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia doesn't care one twit about America. And I have never seen anybody from Saudi Arabia come to Elroy or La Crosse and say thank you. Have you? Let's go up and do something. I was one of the few people that have been up at Anwar. My duties as Secretary of Health. I went up there and I want to tell you a story. Anwar, where they want to dig, is smaller than the city of La Crosse. The Anwar province is the size of the state of Wisconsin. And the people say you can't dig up there in that little spot because the caribou walk through. And I says, ladies and gentlemen, the caribou are smart enough to walk around. The Democrats may not be, but the caribou are. And the Keystone Pipeline. The Keystone Pipeline. There is more oil up in Alberta, in Saskatchewan, in Canada than we could use in 100 years. All we have to do is clean it up and put it in the pipe and send it down to Houston and refine it. And we can be energy independent. And Obama says, well, can't do that. Environmentalists don't like that. The labor unions like it. Jobs are there. But the environmentalists don't like, there'll be too many pipes in the ground. I said, have you ever looked in your own ground to see how many pipes are there? And then we have natural gas, ladies and gentlemen. We have more natural gas in America than Saudi Arabia has oil. Why don't we become energy independent and let's be America again and start leading instead of following? Let's start being Americans, ladies and gentlemen. Let's stop apologizing to the Chinese, to the Iranians, and the Saudi Arabians, and the elected president is going to stand up and says, I'm an American, and I'm damn proud to be it. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, this election is so important. Can you imagine if Obama wins re-election? I hope and pray that doesn't happen. But if he does, and we don't have control of the United States Senate, what's going to stop him from absolutely ruining our country? And you've got to elect somebody, the Republican primary, that can win. I have won the state 5 times, and a poll's coming out tomorrow that says I am beating Tammy Baldwin by 14 points, 50 to 36. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to ask for your help because you're a neighbor of Elroy. You're voting for a local boy. And I want the job, and I'm campaigning hard because I love this country. And as my mother said, give them the Irish prayer, Tommy. So ladies and gentlemen, may the road rise to meet you. And may the wind be always at your back. And may the sun shine warm upon your forehead and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. God love you. God love the Republicans. God love the state of Wisconsin. And God love the United States of America. Let's go for it, ladies and gentlemen.